Welcome to this special edition of Globewatch. Today we are at Jeju Island for the Jeju Forum on Peace and Security in Northeast Asia. It is worth noting that our guest on the program is Professor JAECHUM Kim, who is a professor at Graduate School of International Studies in Sogang University. Professor Kim, thank you for accepting to talk to Globewatch. Can you help the international community, can you help Africans watching this show understand what is driving South Korea's quest for unification between the two Koreas, considering the fact that the two Koreas have been, or are still technically at war with each other?
Well, we believe that the best way to ease tensions on the Korean Peninsula and to sort of eradicate the root cause of security problems on the Korean Peninsula and also in Northeast Asia region is to unify both Koreas. That I think is going to be the ultimate solution to all these security concerns that we have on the Korean Peninsula. As you mentioned, the two Koreas are technically at war with each other. Well, how are we going to end this war? Of course, we'll have to take some measures to ease tensions by holding, high-level military talks and all. But ultimately, the best solution to all the problems that we have on the Korean Peninsula, not just the military problems, but also humanitarian problems, environmental problems. The best way to resolve all these issues is really unification.
Now, if I understand, the government of South Korea has already presented, more so about a year ago, a policy that kind of spells out this unification drive. It's called the day back theory.
Yes.
Now, can you explain that to us? What is contained in that policy? What does the government hope to achieve?
Because a lot of younger generations don't really see the urgent need to unify both Koreas because they believe that in the short run and in the medium run, unification process will be accompanied with a lot of costs. There'll be a lot of costs. So economically, it's going to be a losing game for younger generation of South Korea. So the reason that the Park Geun-hye administration emphasized this Daebak theory is that, well, medium term it's going to be economic loss, but eventually it's going to create a great economic opportunities on the Korean Peninsula, and you will feel these economic outcomes yourselves eventually. So that's one of the reasons why we'll have to root for unification, not because of just unification for the sake of unification, not because of these nationalistic sentiments that we are one nation, so one nation should have one state. So that was a previous rationale. The previous rationale is really working to these younger generations who haven't really experienced Korean War. So to mobilize support from the younger generation, Park Geun-hye government released this what is known as a Daebak theory.
It is already difficult to get internal support for this theory or for the drive towards unification. How likely is it to actually talk with a hostile North Korean regime?
Well, it's difficult. The approach taken by Park Geun-hye government is a smaller unification project first. Let's start small and start cooperating on easier issues first. Softer issues, environmental issues, or working on farm projects and all, exchange of separate families during the Korean War, holding cultural events or sports events together. And since you mentioned, as you mentioned, there is not enough of trust between the two countries. We are sworn enemies still. So since there is no trust at this moment, it is very important for both Koreas to build trust, enough of trust so we can move on to the discussion of some of the tougher issues such as military issues, nuclear issues eventually. So that is the approach taken by the Park Geun-hye government, but I'm not really sure whether that is working because we are talking to one of the most untrustworthy countries in the world. So it takes patience, and I think that bottom-up approach, starting small and moving on to the big issues, should be complemented by a top-down approach as well. We'll have to hold high-level talks.
Is there a time frame that the South Korean government has in terms of achieving this? Is there a period of time when you think you could actually get your own people to accept this and actually start discussions with North Korea?
I'm not really sure whether the government has a specific timetable. Our president has a 5-year term limit as president, and in contrast, North Korea, there is no such thing as term limit. So I think North Korea is like buying time and playing this delaying tactic. And Park Geun-hye government is still saying that this trust, creating process is at work. We're just not witnessing enough of trust, but there is a trust building here. So specific time framework, I don't know. I mean, the priority has been building trust, no matter how long it's going to take. So
how is South Korea approaching this deal? Is South Korea approaching as a stronger solution that intends to absorb the weaker solution, or as equals, ignoring its economic might and considering the North Korean government as an equal? They are discussing it.
Yes, I believe. We are proposing all these meetings to North Koreans. In proposing these meetings and negotiations with North Koreans, we are treating North Koreans as a sovereign equal. But North Korean leaders haven't really responded in positive manner. They completely ignored our proposals. And once in a while, they fire, shot here and there and to escalate tensions. And after which, they propose their own version of peace talk.
Well, we know the arms race within the Asian area seems to be increasing. Many more countries are buying submarines. The DMZ is technically demilitarized, but there are still lots of arms building taking place along the two borders. How can a unification quest or goal actually benefit the international community?
Well, it's one of the hot zones. I mean, the world is plagued with many seemingly intractable conflicts right now, and Korean Peninsula has been one of those zones of conflicts for many years. So by resolving these conflicts on the Korean Peninsula, by making DMZ into a eco-friendly park, I mean, we can really send a very positive message to the world that...
Are you convinced you can all of a sudden transform one of the most dangerous spots in the world into
it's not going to happen over time, so it'll take patience, it'll happen gradually, I don't know, who knows, maybe something important might happen in North Korea, in which case North Korean regime might not sustain anymore. So it could come, in very short period of time. So that we'll have to be prepared. But I think it is very important for both Koreas, and then particularly South Korea, to propose a lot of interesting ideas to North Korea and to Northeast Asia region and to the international community as a whole, to mobilize support from the international community, not just from countries in Northeast Asian region. Whether it's going to happen soon, I'm not really sure, but that's something that we'll have to continuously work on.
This week, UN Secretary Ban Ki-moon was in Seoul, and it is clear that talks have broken down between the two Koreas. Is it not wishful thinking to imagine that unification could be a topical issue when you guys are not even talking to each other?
Well, it is. It is very difficult, of course, but we, all agree that is the final destination that we'll have to, get to. No matter how tortuous that the process may be, there's got to be a small step. We will start with taking baby step after another. So yeah, sure, it's at this moment the barriers seem to be insurmountable, but that doesn't mean that we should be giving up on our efforts. So I think it is very, very important for South Korea to come up with all sorts of contingency plans, as well as putting in concerted efforts and well-designed efforts to move North Korea into behaving in more normal fashion.
With the rise of South Korea's economy, with the Korean wave, with K-pop and all the other cultural transformations that are taking place within South Korea, don't you think Koreans or the two Koreas have actually separated, like culturally? Have they not moved apart over the years? Would you people still share the same values, the same culture, if at all there was a chance, a small chance of being one people?
Well, it's been more than 50 years since separation to the Korean Peninsula, but we speak the same language, we look similar, and you just mentioned the power of internet and then SNS and all. Maybe, as of now, North Korean government is exerting strong control over the use of internet and blocking all this information coming from outside. SNS is not available in North Korea. Maybe one day there is a free flow of information going into North Korean society, and that'll create an important change in North Korea. So maybe a change might come from within North Korea, from bottom up. And
were you born during the last invasion when North Korea attacked South
no,
Korea?
No, I was not.
Do you think you can relate? Do you think you can relate to a North Korean today, considering all the changes, the society you have grown up in?
It's just a scanty information that I receive from news media and the information that I get from government agencies, because I have been advisor to the Korea's foreign ministry and Unification ministry. But that's about it. But we are having difficulty retrieving correct information about North Korea, and correct information about North Korea is in such a short supply. So I'm not really sure whether I have the correct picture of North Korea today as of now, but I know, and we all know that it's the situation, it's in dire situation. You don't know what really is going to happen in North Korea. It's really unstable, because the policy that North Korean regime is pursuing is what they call Byungjin strategy. It means retaining and accelerating nuclear weapons program. At the same time, they want to develop economy. But if you want to develop economy, you will need support or help from the international community. You will have to open up, and you will have to receive some aids from foreign countries, but foreign countries not extend the support or help to North Koreans if they stick to this weapons of mass destruction program, and if they actually escalate this program. So it's this policy of Byungjin, retaining weapons program and accelerating economic growth, it's not compatible to each other. So I don't know, the regime is in dire situation.
And clearly, from what you're saying, the two Koreas are preparing for war, not for peace.
I mean, we'll have to maintain this two-track strategy. So on the one hand, we'll have to increase our deterrent capability. I mean, they have formidable weapons, they have nuclear weapons, and we don't. So what are you going to do? We're not going to build our own nuclear weapons. We respect international norms about non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. So we're not going to develop our own nuclear weapons. Then what are you going to do? We will have to increase our deterrent capability. That way, we can send a message to North Koreans that there's not going to be any strategic advantage that you think comes with the nuclear weapons. So we'll have to deny their strategic advantage that they think come with nuclear weapons at all costs. So that's a deterrent capability. So that's preparing, and that's strengthening our security policy to North Koreans. But at the same time, we'll have to talk to North Koreans. We will have to work on these cooperation projects, and we have to build trust. So I think I don't see any other options but to pursue this two-track approach to North Koreans, strengthening our deterrence and defense capability, but at the same time trying to open them up, trying to move them, engage them and move them into the right direction so that they can become a more responsible member of the international community.
What do you think China and Japan think about all of this?
Well, I don't know. Officially, they are in support of Korean unification, but Japan might not feel too comfortable about bigger and stronger Korea, and China would not feel too comfortable if unified Korea would become a pro-US country. So that's the reason why we'll have to careful about promoting our vision of unification. We are not going to be a hegemonic country. Unified Korea will be free from weapons of mass destruction. There's going to be a great reduction in our military capability. That's not our strategy to survive and prosper in this region. Our strategy is to strengthen our soft power capability, not hard power capability. South Korea is a quite strong country on world stage. It's 10th economy in the world, like 9th military power in the world. But we are surrounded by these formidable, very, very powerful countries in the world. To our north, we have Russia. To our left, we have China. To our right, we have Japan, and also the United States is an important stakeholder country in the region. So we are surrounded by these,
power players.
Yeah, so it's a tough neighborhood. So just increasing our own hard power, military power, is not going to help us to survive in this tough neighborhood. We have to be more creative.
Well, thank you very much, Professor JAECHUM Kim, for accepting to be guest of Globewatch.
Thank you. My pleasure.
From what you are mentioning, it seems to me that you of the International Labour Organization, you are living in a dream world, because the world of reality is this. Let me just give you some statistics of that world of reality. 20 million people work as forced laborers worldwide. Youth unemployment starts at 75 million worldwide. Child labor estimated at 168 million worldwide, and unemployment at 201 million people.
Right.
In this world of job precarity, anything goes right. Decent jobs are just out of the table.
Well, I think these are norms that are set by the international labor organizations and the international community over the last 100 years. In fact, the International Labor Organization is going to be 100 years old in 5 years' time. And during that period, it has set standards, the number of working hours, sick leave, annual leave, all those things that the laws.
We are talking of forced labor here, where people have any other choice but to take any kind of job that they see.
But the point is that we define the norms, we define the standards. It doesn't mean that there is no forced labor or that there is no slavery, as it were, and it doesn't mean that there are no children who are not working when they shouldn't be working. Our job is to campaign for the abolition of child labor. And we've made very good progress, but child labor still exists. We accept that. But we're working with governments, we're working with international organizations to respond to this. And we're working in countries like Morocco, for example, where child labor has declined by 70% over the last generation. But that's not enough. The point is to abolish child labor.
Your success story in Morocco.
And others, in other countries as well.
It seems to be destroyed by what goes on in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We'll be talking that in a short while, where you have about 80,000 children working in Chinese companies. And you go to Nigeria, where you have child labor about 15 million.
Child labor exists. The role of the ILO is to champion the case against child labor, working with others, working with governments. Have we been successful? I think to a large extent we have, in drawing attention to the problem of child labor and its magnitude. Governments have responsibility, civil society have responsibility, the media has responsibility to draw attention to this problem.
Finally, you will be the person to pronounce who becomes the next president of Nigeria. If I understand, the next president of Nigeria should take office by May 29. you have huge responsibilities. Are you under pressure?
Well, I have a job to do, and I'm prepared to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm under no pressure with regards to discharging my responsibility as a returning officer for the national elections.
That is again inappropriate. It's inappropriate for you to compare.
Nigeria is not living in an
Excuse me.
isolated world. You know the stories of Al-Shabaab in Somalia. You know the stories of ISIL and many others. Why did the government underrate?
When you interview me, you want the view of my country.
Absolutely.
All right? And so you are not going to force words into my mouth. If you want me to be explicit.
Go on,
now,
Mr.
the
Minister.
challenges that are faced by the Western world is completely different from the challenges that we face on the African continent. They may end up as insurgency, but they are using different strategies. And culturally, this kind of insurgency is completely strange to some parts of Africa. Yes, there may be other parts of Africa that have experienced this in the past, all right? But when you look at the socio-cultural affinity in Nigeria, when you look at the relationships between the various ethnic nationalities and the fact that we have lived to the greatest part in harmony, this was completely unprecedented. Therefore, you would understand why the president said that it took us unawares.
I don't know what is your take about that.
No, I'm a journalist, and I think that my opinion does not count.
No. Well, if you are taking the issue of the opinion of journalists has been put to rest, and that is where the issue of objectivity has also been put to rest. If you remember the Balkan Wars in 1992, and I can tell you, one of your colleagues, specifically Christiana Amanpour, when she saw the massacre, she said, well, today, one has to take a side. So you have to take a side also.
Is that a command from the military?
No, it is not a command.
You just acknowledged the role of the Nigerians in solving your problems when you were in the civil war.
Certainly.
You know how challenged Nigeria is today when it comes to the Boko Haram affair.
Yes.
Are you going to send soldiers voluntarily to put an end to this issue in Nigeria, or you have heard of a multinational force which will be created, made up of about 870 troops, military, civilian, and the police, as an element of African solidarity, with Sierra Leone becoming on board?
When you follow the geopolitics in the sub-region, you can see that Nigeria and Sierra Leone is just because of the geographical setting. We are almost one and the same. We see them as big brothers. I mean, and whenever we have challenging issues back home, they are always there, taking the leading role to ensure that, I mean, they get it at our back.
Will you come on board on the side of Nigeria?
So on the issue of the Ebola, it is not an issue of Sierra Leone coming on board.
I'm talking
naturally,
about Boko Haram.
Yes, with Boko Haram. Naturally, Nigeria and Sierra Leone are one and the same people. We are following closely. We are very much concerned. If you have been following the news, our women, when the Boko Haram captured the 200 young girls, I mean, our female activists back home, I mean, went to solidarity with the Nigerian people. It was on the BBC all over. We worked with them. We are very much concerned, and we are pleased, like a regional statesman, like His Excellency President Paul Biya, is working with the Nigerian government, and other big powers in the Africa region are working with the Nigerian government, seeing the need that this Boko Haram thing should be put to a halt, because it is not African.
Probably the last question, Mr. Foreign Affairs Minister of the Central African Republic. What message do you have to your global partners, to your global audience? Are you telling them that what you saw in the Central African Republic in the 1970s, in 1998, in 2000, in 2010, in 2013, in 2014, are you telling them that bye-bye to instability, bye-bye to violence, and that we are going to behave like Sierra Leone today? Are you telling them that these episodes will never repeat themselves, and that you have taken a full commitment to be a respected nation permanently in the concert of nations?
We tell them we've been going through a nightmare, but the nightmare has a beginning and has an end.
So this is the end of the story?
We're fighting for it. That will be the end, we hope, because we should live a legacy to our people, legacy of freedom, justice, promotion of human rights, of good governance, and we have to fight against poverty. And so that the people, the future, our people must be brilliant. So that's why this is our commitment. That's why we are there. We're in the transition. That's why myself personally, I joined the transitional government to fight toward that purpose.